Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is a personal video, just me talking about my life and some issues I'm dealing with right now. I'm not making this video to teach anyone anything, to present anything to anyone. This is just for the select few people who already know who I am, who want to hear me talk about what I'm going through. And I want to say thank you for your prayers, because things have been getting a lot better, and I'm going to focus on what has gotten better, because there's a lot of things that I'm positive that I'm grateful for, and so I want to stay focused on the positive rather than the negative. But there's some negative that I don't think I'm complaining by talking about it, and I don't think I'm being needy for expressing certain things that I lack in my life, but I just have no solutions, and I don't have even anyone to talk to face about these issues that I'm dealing with. And there's some people who I talk to on the phone and on video calls, but there's something that just doesn't feel 100% real about ever interacting with someone if I haven't, at least at some point in the past, been face to face with that person, like making eye contact, you know, shook a hand, gave a hug, whatever. There needs to be like some realness to the person. And I can only connect so much and feel like I'm able to express myself even just to someone on like a video call. There's something about it that just feels cold and fake. Like my emotions and my energy is entirely separate from your emotions and your energy, and there's no like there's none of like what happens in a real conversation where it's like you can sense the energy and attitude of a person. I've always sort of been a little bit of a hippie in that sense, that I can feel whether my spirit's at peace or not when I'm around someone physically. But the electronic way of connecting people is always completely cold and lacks that physical warmth, which also is kind of like this electrical warmth, like this invisible field of energy that people have around them, and you can feel sometimes the positivity or the negativity or the anger or whatever emotion it is that they're orbiting around them with their energy. And I've managed to this point in my life to isolate myself so much that I realized that I'm living as a hermit. And I don't know why I thought being a hermit would be the way to feel at peace. I guess it was sort of this idea that the world is, such a messy, sinful place that I can just be on my own. And, I look out at this place and I'm sitting up on the mountains here looking down on the valley below where the masses are living, and it's gorgeous here. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm grateful to be here. I'm able to work virtually teaching English, and it pays very little, but thankfully Columbia costs very little, so for at least right now, things balance out until I figure out whatever's next. I've given up alcohol and I've started going to the gym, and it's a good maybe couple months now that I've been in a gym routine, and I don't work out that hard, but at least I'm going to the gym and I'm not drinking, which is like, that's huge compared to where I used to be in the past. But I'm still skinny, scrawny me. You don't there's no changes that happen immediately overnight. And even if I'm getting out and trying to do these things, I don't have any friends here, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll put myself out there, I'll try a hobby, maybe I'll try to play like, I used to play racquetball in the past. I'm sure I could find some racquetball league out here. All I got to do is buy a racket. I'm thinking, I need to try paddle or racquetball or something just to make some friends, because I don't have any friends. And it's not just a Columbia thing for any of you who want to blame Columbia. This is the same in my hometown. I mean, maybe when I go back to visit my parents in a month, thank God I'm going to be able to go back and see them. I'm going to give my mom a hug, going to give my dad a hug, probably be able to see at least one of my sisters and brother-in-law, and maybe some cousins, my grandparents. But aside from seeing family, I'm going to be surprised if I even see anyone else that I know, because, you know, people get families, they get busy, people change over time. The fact that my religion changed, that, some people didn't like that. Some people you just lose contact with and you change, like last time I went back, someone was asking me like, "Oh, you're in Colombia, huh?" And it reminded me of, we're two wild and crazy guys. A lot of people think that's what I'm doing down here in Colombia. A lot of people think I'm like these wild and crazy guys. This is from Saturday Night Live, for those not familiar with it. And, a lot of people think I'm like these guys down here partying, having a good time, and hanging out with all the pretty Colombian girls and so forth. But no, I have since, I've recently gotten alcohol totally out of my life, and hopefully the goal is to keep it that way, because I've been thinking about it, and just imagine that this was a beer or something, and I would look at it and I would think, what does this give me? What nutrition does it have? What value does it is? In what way is it an investment in my future to drink the beer? And it's amazing, because I've tried to quit alcohol more times than I can in the past, and this time I guess it stuck. I pray that it sticks. So, like, I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing for my life to start moving in the right direction, but I'm also looking at the consequences of just like being so socially disengaged for my whole adult life. And I'm at this point where most days, like the typical day for me, aside from talking to a cashier, maybe at a place like where I'm going to buy something, aside from that, I never talk face to face to anyone most days. Yeah, and I'm talking for weeks at a time. I talked recently to the neighbor downstairs because there was a water outage that lasted 2 days. There was a huge storm that destroyed the infrastructure. And so I asked the neighbor if she knew what was going on. Otherwise, unless there's an emergency like that, the typical day for me, I'm not talking to anyone. And I also get no touch, no high fives, no hugs, no kiss on the cheek from pretty young ladies. Sadly, no. No physical contact. And, I don't want to dwell on that, but, like I went on a date with a girl a couple weeks ago, and the date started out super great, ended up not so well. So, there's no gossip, there's no announcements or anything like that. But the date started out super great, and because I realized for me, like, the most fulfilling thing about like that excitement of getting to know her and whatever was just like the touch, because like she wanted to hold hands, she wanted my arm around her and stuff like that. She was real touchy, and it was like that was something that I had, like, even just holding hands, like you don't want to know how long even that had been prior to that date. Like, it had been about 2 years, I think, prior to that I was even on a date with another girl, as far as I can remember. Like, so horrid has been my romantic life. And, you could say that I'm not compatible with Colombia, and the Colombian girls certainly are not too excited about me, so far as I can tell. And that's fine, because I'm not here in Colombia for that. A lot of people think, oh, you're a young man, so you're being a wild and crazy guy down there, and maybe in my imagination I'm a wild and crazy guy like that, but in actuality, I don't have any friends. I did go on that date recently, a couple weeks ago, and it started off well, but let's just say there was no future there. So it was a first date, and that was that. But I remember that like the biggest thing for me wasn't like, oh, it didn't work out or whatever. The thing for me that I took away from it was like I felt so much gratitude that like I just had contact, like physical contact with like someone. Just had someone to talk to and hang out with and make eye contact with. Because most of my days, yeah, I spend lots of time talking to people, but it's on a webcam and it's on a phone and it's all digital, and I don't physically spend time with anyone. I go sometimes weeks at a time, without getting a hug or a high five or whatever, you know, and I don't have a solution for that. I'm sorry for focusing on that and dwelling on that. If you have any recommendations, I don't know what to I don't have a solution. I'm just pointing that out. But I am grateful, of course, that I've got an independent source of income. No one's my boss. Well, technically all my clients are my bosses, but there's no person named boss that signs my check. And I'm grateful that the Father's given me the ability to work independently. I'm in a beautiful, gorgeous place. I've got great weather where I can wear short sleeves pretty much every day. But it also doesn't get too hot either. And I live in this beautiful, gorgeous valley, and I got a motorcycle I get to ride around whenever it's not raining. And, I'm going to the gym, I've gotten sober, and it's like so much is going right. And I don't want to dwell on what's negative, but it feels like, I don't know, it's so much easier to focus on what you don't have compared to what you do have. And it's just frustrating also because it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go to my hometown and, like, yeah, my relatives, yeah, I can hug them and touch them and be with them, there's no place, even my hometown, where I expect to even see a friend face to face. And I appreciate the friendship that has been offered virtually. I do not take that for granted. Some of you have really been with me when there's just no one else for me to talk to, so I appreciate that. But I don't know. I feel like I'm ready just to become an Amish and throw all this technology into the river because there's no fulfillment. Technology and working virtually with people, even if I spend hours and hours a day talking to people virtually, it just doesn't replace like just a couple minutes of cuddling, and I'm thinking I should just pay for a massage or something. I don't know. Because it's like I got all this good stuff going in my life, and why am I acting like why should I focus on the lack? But it's like I don't think I'm complaining to put it out there that that's the problem because, yeah, regardless of whether I'm in one culture or another or one country or another, it's like it's not the culture, it's not the country. The common denominator is me. And I'm in a month, I'm turning 35 years old, so I feel kind of like I'm set in my ways. So I don't have a solution. Maybe you do, brothers and sisters. Shalom.